what is today? Wednesday. It is our Wake Up Wednesday, guys. And on Wake Up Wednesday, get some light in here. We talk about being intentional. That's better. How's that? All right. So I reminded you all yesterday that we've started to go back to the gym in the morning. So when I come on, I'm literally running straight in from my workout. So a little hot and sweaty, but we are going to get it done. So welcome, come on in. Let's get our morning started. And today we want to focus on being intentional. And when you talk about being intentional, I was looking at a definition of intentional last night that really helped me to start to think about what I wanted to talk about with you guys today. So when I read the definition, it says being intentional means actively making choices and decisions based on your values and your goals rather than simply reacting to circumstances. And so we talk a lot about being intentional and guarding our resources of time and attention and being mindful about how we use those resources. We talk a lot about goal setting and what it means to have a good goal, how you set them and build your plan to accomplish your goals. But the thing that stuck out when I read this definition that we haven't talked so much about is your values. What are your values? What are your non negotiables? What are your must haves? What are the things that at the core of who you are, you believe and you won't move from? Imagine connecting your intentions and your goals to that. How could you lose? When you feel so sure about something that it's a part of your core belief system, when your goals and your intentions align with that, then you increase your chances exponentially to accomplish those goals, right? Because they align with what you believe and how you believe. So that's what I wanted to talk about this morning, is really getting into what your values are. I wrote some questions for you that can help you dig into what your values are. I see some of you guys are coming in on the good morning, Alicia, on the Facebook side. I see lots of people scrolling through. On TikTok. So I want to welcome everyone to this morning's live. I'm here every morning at 7 a.m. Central. And today is Wake Up Wednesday, where we really focus on intentionality, living an intentional life. Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, Bridget. Carlton, I'm not sure if you're on yet on TikTok, but I want to make sure that I acknowledge you and thank you for joining all the time and being one of my biggest supporters. So, for those of you who just joined, I saw a couple of you guys just pop in on Facebook. I want to reread the definition of intentional. Good morning, Kim. I read this last night, and when I looked at it, it really made me think a little bit differently about what we talk about on a regular basis around intentionality. So the definition says being intentional means actively making choices and decisions based on your values and goals rather than simply reacting to circumstances. And a lot of that should ring true to you guys. And we've talked about it a lot, especially you guys on Facebook. You guys show up consistently Monday through Friday, and I so appreciate you. So you've heard me talk about being intentional multiple times. You've heard me talk about goal setting. You've heard me talk about the things that are in this definition, about not being on autopilot, and being intentional about your life, and guarding and being mindful about how you use your time and your attention and all of your resources. So those parts of the definition really, hit home and rang true to the things that we talk about on a regular basis. But what jumped out at me was the values piece. It says being intentional means actively making choices and decisions based on your values and goals. And we hadn't spoken so much about values. So I wanted to hone in on that part of it this morning. And when you think about your values, I didn't really look up a definition. I wish I had. But when you think about your values are your core belief system. Those are your non-negotiables, the things that as a person you have you have to have or you want to allow in your life, they are a part of just who you are, how you show up in the world, how you move through. It's what you believe in. And so if you align, if your goals and dreams and your intentions are aligned with your value system, it would stand to reason that it would make it easier for you to achieve those goals. They already align with what you believe in the first place. So it would do us good to be really clear about what our values are. We have some beliefs just based on how we grew up, where we grew up, what was happening around us. So some of that stuff is just we've received it through osmosis, throughout our life. It's the environment that we were in, and then we've had some life experiences that have also shaped our values. But how often do we actually stop and really think about what our value system is and what we value? I think it's an important piece of the puzzle. So I grabbed some questions. I didn't draft them myself. I found some questions that could really help us hone in on what our values are. And in doing that, it will also help you to take a look at what you have listed as your goals and see if they are in alignment. And if they're not, then where's the mismatch? Are your goals a little bit, where are they coming from? Why would you have goals that are different than what your belief system is? Something is off. And so that's a place to dig in and to see what the disconnect is and do a little bit of internal work. And it's like, okay, are my values a little bit different than what I thought they were? Am I kind of on autopilot with my values because that's what the environment that I grew up in, but I actually think about things a little bit differently as I've gotten older and as I've had different life experiences. It's possible that you actually have had a shift in values, but you haven't been clued into it. You just haven't did the work to be aware of that shift. Or is it the goals that are off? Are you setting goals because that's what the world says, that's what your parents say, that's what you feel like is the right thing to do? Or are they things that you really want for yourself and they align with the life that you would like to have? Those are questions that are important for you to answer for yourself. And then when you go about making these goals, they align with what you believe and things start to fall into place. Alignment is a beautiful thing. Wherever we can find alignment in our life, then we're going to have more ease and flow and things work better because it's all connected. It's aligned. Mind, body, spirit, it's all on the same page. You don't have this internal conflict that's going on. So it makes it a lot easier for you to achieve and accomplish the things that you have set out to do. So let's take a look at the questions. So these are some questions that you can ask yourself that can help you assess your values. And there's no right or wrong answer. And that's something you guys hear me say a lot. When you're doing assessments and when you're trying to figure out what you want and what you believe and who you are, you've got to throw out the judgment. That's the first thing that you need to do is that inner critic. Tell him to pipe down. It is time to just be really honest with yourself. And it's hard to do that when you've got a lot of judgment going on about how things should or shouldn't be. You can deal with what should or shouldn't be later, but first you have to understand what is. And it's hard to get there when you're in a very judgmental space. So throw out the judgment. Roll through your questions, whatever they are, however you're assessing something for yourself, and just get the facts. And then once you're clear on what the facts are, you can determine, do I like these facts or do I want something to be different? And that tells you where the work is. But you have to be honest and clear and start with a clean slate with just good answers, and then you move from there. All right. So first question, what matters most to me in life? What's the most important thing to you in your life? What are my top priorities? What are my biggest motivators? That's a big one. What motivates you? What gets you going? What will help you to keep moving even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it? Keep you going when you really just want to stop. What do I care about most deeply? What do I stand for? And you can kind of life happens and stuff happens around us all the time. But there is something, like, I know that I'm a champion of the quote unquote underdog. When I see somebody isolated, when I was the kid who, if I saw somebody at the lunch table by themselves, as an example, that's who I wanted to talk to. I never had trouble being, popular in school. I had a lot of friends and stuff, but I wasn't so lost in that I couldn't see the people who were on their own. And those people always touch my heart. I always want to make sure that they're okay. And that's not anything that I cultivated. That's just the way I am. It's just what I believe. I have a heart for people who are suffering, or people who seem lonely or sad or mistreated in any way. And so I know that about myself. And so it stands to reason that if I see something that appears to be, someone who appears to be that way, I'm probably going to be drawn to them. The other thing that's important about knowing that about myself is that when people know your soft spots, they can prey on them. It makes you an easy victim. So you also have to be discerning and aware of who you are and what your automatic responses are, so that you're making good decisions and what you're seeing is really what you're seeing, and you're not just assuming. So I have to be careful about that, because my tender heart can really make me a victim easily. And it has over the years, and I've had to learn how to control my automatic triggers and not be so open and so ready to help and to give that people take advantage of that part of my personality. So knowing who you are and knowing your core beliefs not only help you align, but it also helps you to be protective of yourself, and it helps you to make good decisions that are not just emotionally based decisions. So what do I want to be remembered for? This is a huge one. And I've heard this one, depending on the training that I was in, I've heard this question asked a lot of different ways. People talk about, when I'm, in my final hours and I'm looking back over my life, what would I be proud of versus what would I go, oh, I wish I hadn't gone down that road type of thing. But what do you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy? I've got a real clear picture of that. I'm a grandma. And so I've got grandchildren that I want to impact. I want their lives to be easier because I lived, because I'm their grandmother. There's some things I want to leave for them. There's some things I want to have in place. And I know that about myself. So it helps me to make decisions. It helps me to be more clear. It helps me to be less wasteful, because I'm not just living for now. I enjoy my life and I enjoy what I've been able to accomplish, but I'm also trying to prepare for the generations to come. I had my daughters laughing the other day, and I was like, yeah, I want to be that old lady that's pictures on the wall in her great grandkids' house. And they're wondering, who is this woman? Why do we have her on our wall? And the parents will say, well, she was your great, however many great grandmother, and she left a legacy. She built this generational wealth for us so that we had a leg up. We started differently than how she started, because that was important to her. She left something that allowed us to be. That's important to me. And I know that's important to me. So some of the decisions I make in my life align with that. What brings me the most joy and fulfillment? That is a great question. And I think it's a question that sometimes we forget to ask. We wonder about what will bring us, financial security, what will bring me comfort, what will make me safe. There's some things that we just kind of automatically try to put in place. But if you can find what brings you joy, what brings you fulfillment, and have more of that in your life just improved right there. You're living a life that's more authentic. You're living a life that better aligns with what feels good to you. And if you can figure out how that becomes your vocation. I've heard people say when the work that you do is something that you love, you really never work a day in your life. You're living out your passion. You're doing the things that you love. And so asking yourself these questions and being clear about things like that will really help you to find your path and to focus and do the things that are going to lead you towards that destination. What do I want to achieve in life? What makes me feel most alive? Ooh, this is a good one. What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to do without? What am I willing to give up? What am I willing to sacrifice? That's a question that we probably don't talk about very much. And we talked about it recently, I want to say last week on one of our days when I talked to you guys about opportunity cost. So if you've ever been, I have a degree in business, and one of the classes that you take, it teaches you about opportunity cost. We can't do and have everything, regardless of what the headlines say, and the you just can't. When you decide that you're going to do something with your time, when you decide you're going to do something with your money, when you're going to decide to do something with whatever your resources are, that means that that resource is spent doing that thing that you've made the decision on, which means you can't do this thing over here. You've already spent those resources. You've allocated that resource for this, which means you're deciding to let that go. And I think we don't think about that part of it. When we're saying yes to something, we're saying no to something else. And we need to be clear about that. That is called that's called the opportunity cost in economics. What are you saying no to? If you're clear about that and you're okay with your no, you do so much better with your yes. You're not easily tripped up when the no starts to pop up. The opportunity to do that comes up. Now you're going, oh, I really, and before you know it, your resources are back and forth between the two. You're not committed to either. Neither one is getting your full attention, full resources. So you just may not accomplish what it is you said you wanted to do as well. So spending a little time understanding what you're giving up when you say yes to something will also increase your likelihood of being successful with your yes, because you're making a conscious decision on this no. You've decided that the yes is what you want, and you've decided that you're okay with the no. That's in alignment, and you can go forth and you can do well. But when you're iffy about this no and you're really not committed to that, you really haven't thought about it, it'll trip you up time and time again. So knowing what you're willing to sacrifice is important. So let me run through the questions really quickly for you again. And if you guys are taking notes, or if you'd like for me to drop them for you later, I'm happy to do that in a comment or whatever you would like. What matters most to me in life? What are my top priorities? What are my biggest motivators? What do I care about most deeply? What's really at the root, at the core of who I am? What's important to me there? What do I really care about? What do I stand for? What do I want to be remembered for? What brings me the most joy and fulfillment? This right here, what I'm doing right now, is a part of that question for me. This brings me a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment. It gives me another layer of meaning to my life. It also gives me an outlet and helps me make peace with some things that didn't go so well in my life. If I'm sharing with somebody else and they can learn from where I stumbled, and maybe they missed that pothole instead of falling into the one that I've done, it makes me falling in that pothole not as bad. It gives me some relief and makes it more meaningful for me. So knowing what gives you value, it made me get up at I was on vacation last week, but I still was here every morning at 7 a.m. because this is important to me. It gives me meaning. So knowing that will help you make good decisions. What do I want to achieve in my life? What makes me feel most alive? That's where your passion is. That's where you easily get excited and you feel like you're just all turned on, you're all jacked up, you're ready to go. What is that thing? Where do you feel most alive? And what am I willing to sacrifice? What is the opportunity cost that I'm willing to pay so that I can have what I said I want over here? So take some time to reflect on these questions. You might even write down your answers because it'll really help you to get clear. Remember to not judge your answers. They're not right. They're not wrong. They just are. And then once you're clear about those answers, look for patterns, look for themes in your responses. And you may find out that there's something that's more valuable or less valuable to you than what you thought, Because if you haven't done this work, if you haven't really dug in, then you may be taking some of this stuff for granted and not even realizing what's really, really important to you. And once you find that out, the light bulb may come on. Oh, that's why I have such a hard time doing this thing. It's in total misalignment with what appears to be what I really care about. And so you can have those deep conversations with yourself, figure out what's important to you, and then you're going to make better decisions. You're going to be more committed to those decisions. You're going to know what the opportunity cost is that you're paying, clear on that on the front end so it doesn't trip you up later. And you're just so much more likely to reach your goals. So that is it, guys. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to take a little bit of a different look at intention, and the whole point of today's discussion was getting clear about what your values are, so that the goals that you're setting and the intentions that you've set are aligning with those values. If they align with those values, you are much more likely to accomplish them because they already fit with what you believe, what your belief system is. So grab those questions. I think I will just go ahead and drop them in the comments after this call, and that way you guys don't have to worry about asking for it. Whatever form, I see people on TikTok, I see people on YouTube and Facebook. I'm not sure if I've got any LinkedIn folks here with me today, but regardless, I'll drop the questions for everybody on each of the platforms. Grab them for yourself. Take the time to get clear and to get an even deeper understanding about who you are and what your belief system is, and keep that in the forefront of your mind, especially when you're goal setting and trying to decide where you're going to set your intentions. What are you going to do with your life? Where are you going to spend your time and your resources? The more you do that, the more likely you increase the likelihood of being successful in accomplishing those goals. All right, I see quite a few of you guys have joined me this morning, and I see some comments. So Kim says, my grandchildren motivate and inspire me. I agree with that 100%. Me too, Kim. You have a hard time saying no, and that's how you get taken advantage of. Exactly. I'm the same way. No has been very difficult for me. But when I started to realize what I was giving up every time I said a yes, it helps me to evaluate those yeses better. So think about the opportunity cost. If you're going across town, Kim, to give somebody a ride, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, that's great. And it's good to be a support system for people. But you've got to stop and think, what is the cost that I'm paying? Is this the best use of my time right now, as it aligns with what it is that I'm trying to accomplish? If the more you do that type of analysis, assessment, the better off your yeses will mean more to you, and your no's will start to come a little bit easier. All right. Good morning, Keisha. The wifey lounge is on this morning. You wifeys, y'all check her out. I love her podcast. She is really talking on a regular basis to women about being wives and what that role is, especially today with all the many hats that we wear. And she's bringing in different topics in the realm of being a wife, a lot about self-care and how we can't forget to take care of ourselves as wives and moms and all those different hats. So that's another great one to tune into. Keisha, if you get a chance, why don't you drop a link to your site here and let folks know when and where they can catch you. Good morning, Christine. It's great to see you again. Good morning, Mother. Aromatic Visions. That's my mom, y'all. She makes the most wonderful soy-based organic candles with natural, what's the word I'm looking for, Mother? The essential oils. So she makes them, and every single candle is handmade, essential oils, soy based. and they smell so good. I've got one right behind me. I don't even have to light it. I just take the lid off the jar, and it smell, and my room smells so good. And then when I want to set a little ambiance, I can light it and go from there. But Aromatic Visions LLC is also a page that you will find on Facebook. She's been growing by leaps and bounds and doing great things. So, Mother, if you want to put your link here as well so people can find you. But if you're looking for candles, those are awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so that is it for today. We will be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. ish. I reminded you guys that I started going back to the gym. So me and my husband work out from 6 to 6:45. So it is a race to get home from the gym and get here in time to get started at 7. So I'm starting a little bit after, but it won't be any more than a maximum of 10 minutes after. And I think I've been beating that. So I will get here and get us started around 7 a.m. ish, right after I get home from the gym. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow morning for Thankful Thursday. Even though today is about being intentional, we are thankful not just on Thursdays, but every day. So as you go through your day, if you hit a spot where things are not going so well, just stop for a moment and think about what you're thankful for. And it will start to lift your mood right away. That's something you can do all the time. So thank you for listening in. If you catch the recording, hashtag replay, and I will check that later after I get off work, and I will respond to any comments that you left. And thanks again for joining, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Thankful Thursday, where gratitude is the topic of the day. You guys have a wonderful one. Bye.